Excellent. So we are live. We've just confirmed it. So welcome everybody to ID24 2023. This is the 10th year of ID24, but as Adrian reminded me just before we went live, it's the 11th edition of ID24 because we don't do things the easy way ever. And we're delighted to once again have an exciting 24 hours of great accessibility and inclusive design talks ahead of us. Now, we're joined here by most of our crew, but I'm also delighted to have Sarah Poulis here from Intopia, one of our platinum sponsors this year. Intopia is practically part of the ID24 family by now, having sponsored the conference every year since 2018. How are you doing, Sarah?
Very well, thank you. Really excited to support you again. And of course, coming from Australia, so probably outside of everyone else's time zone.
Yeah. You're the one with the reasonable time zone. Well, you and Hans and other ones, right. Yeah, yep. We're just in the middle of nowhere time-wise.
Exactly. We had our coffee and we're fresh.
Very good, very good. So we have an exciting lineup this year, as every year really, and it's quite an interesting mix and often surprising. I'm always surprised to see how kind of different themes develop throughout the years. And I'll likely be too busy and stressed to really sit down and take it all in. But there's certainly a few talks that caught my attention. I'm particularly looking forward to, who's your favorite child? You know, it's that kind of question, but I'm particularly looking forward to at 3 o'clock UTC, we got Megan Van Harten's Accessibility in Action, Indigenous Communities. And the last talk this session is at 23 UTC, Crystal Preston Watson's Lockdown Access, Digital Accessibility of Prison Digital Devices. And those two talks particularly stood out to me purely because of the area that they cover, which is possibly, I don't want to say outside of the mainstream, but certainly areas that are not often discussed. And I was delighted to see that. It's probably the third time I said delighted in this intro. Excellent. So I'm just going to go around the room, starting with Battle Unit Adrian Rosselli, to tell us what talks are you looking forward to?
So you've identified Megan's talk and Crystal's talk. Of course, I want to see Leonie. She's always got great insights. Lainey, big fan, so that's a given. There are some other nuggets in here, though, like Eric Bednar's talking about the MacGuffin of accessibility as disability. That's interesting. I think Russ is doing a date picker talk. I'm always a fan of seeing the latest effort at date pickers because as you know, I consider those to be the boss battle of accessibility, at least implementation. And I like to shout along with the screen. To me, it's an interactive talk, which is probably a good thing. Wait, am I hosting that? Well, I'm going to keep myself on mute. Anyway, there's a bunch of good talks. Now I'm going to do this thing that other people call popcorning, and instead of just letting somebody figure out who's going to go next, I'm going to pick Eric because he's below me in my view.
All right. Yeah. I am above you, but also to the right.
Ooh,
so
I think it's called Brady bunching, right?
Yeah. I think the WCAG has some language around this sort of thing. I'm looking forward to a lot of talks, some that were definitely mentioned earlier. Eric's MacGuffin talk is very interesting to me. Selfishly, the date picker conversation is also one that I'm going to be very interested in that it's coming up at work and I want to know what the best and brightest have to say. Also selfishly for work considerations, the Measuring Accessibility Maturity from Andrew Arch and Neil Jarvis, very interested in where that's going. Also, the disability bias in AI. I think that's a topic that's just coming up more and more and more. And Christopher Land is going to give us some really good insights there. And I'm really looking forward to what they have to say. Let's see. Oh man, I'm spoiled for choice here. Sarah, would you like to go next?
Absolutely. I think there's a bit of crossover. So I also was looking at Eric's presentation on disability is the MacGuffin of accessibility, and in particular his line of prepare to be uncomfortable, I think it was. And I think as I work in this industry, it's sometimes those times where you're either made uncomfortable or, you know, there's a different perspective that's shared that really, I think, makes me grow as a person. So that's what particularly attracted me to his presentation. Also a Lainey fangirl, so I like that. But in particular, I chose that one because I guess it's an interesting one to me, looking at, say, the difference between the Australian context and maybe the US context. Not to say they're the only two contexts, but, you know, in Australia, we are so non-litigious when it comes to digital accessibility. And in the US, we are so litigious, or you are so litigious for those that live there. And what I love about Lainey and what Lainey and Kim, I think, will talk about is having a happy medium between those 2 points, because I think we really do need that sort of both sides, you know, in order to progress accessibility sometimes. So that was also why I chose that one. But one that hasn't been mentioned that I particularly like the look of is Sitting Comfortably, a design lesson for chairs from Sveta. I hope I got that right, Denova. And I think it's because I like looking at other areas or other industries and what we can learn from those particular industries. So I thought that would be maybe a nice one to attend as well. And I will pass to Ian.
Thank you. Well, I think several of the ones I'm particularly looking forward to have been already mentioned. As someone who's never managed to make it into one of Lainey's legendary season talks, I'm always enjoy any sessions that she does. Also, the talk, the Sitting Comfortably talk from Sveta, I think that's definitely an interesting one, just something a little bit different, I think, a new perspective. And Prakriti, the talk at 3 a.m. UTC for the Unseen, Inclusive Design for People with Invisible Disabilities. I think this is something that we don't really talk about too much. So it's great that we've got a opportunity, a forum for a talk like that here. So Hans.
Yeah, talk about boss levels. I'm the last one, so I think I have a bingo on my list almost from all the things that I've written down. I'm also really looking forward to the accessible day picker one, because I have some history with accessible day pickers, or trying to get them accessible. Really looking forward to the accessibility in gaming one by Hector Osborne Rodriguez. That's at 7 a.m. And I also had Prakriti Chowda's talk about the inclusive design for people with invisible disabilities. That is always something that's been underrepresented, I feel. So I'm looking forward to that one.
Excellent. So I would say, because, well, some of us are quite stressed, I'm not looking at anybody in particular. One comment I was going to make is, like, Adrian, would you agree that the US is quite litigious in terms of lawsuits? Or are you allowed to comment on that?
I feel that we are unnecessarily litigious in ways that one might not even expect.
Amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Very good. So with that inside joke, or not so inside, I'm going to say, well, we're going to keep it the pre-show quite brief this year, and we're still sorting out a few things behind the scenes, a little bit of juggling of schedules and everything else, as we always do. But again, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank again our platinum sponsors, Intopia, and also Google this year, our platinum sponsors. Unfortunately, they couldn't have anybody on the pre-show with us here just now, and we have, you know, gold supporters, bronze supporters, etc. They're all listed on the website, of course. But without any of the sponsors, you know, none of ID24 would be possible financially from that point of view. And for our audience out there, I would say, please join us at the top of the hour for the very first of our 24 talks of the day. And with that, I would say thank you, everybody who came at whatever varying times of day or night for this pre-show. And thank you for your support, and see everybody else out there.
Cheers, internet.
Thank you. Bye.
Have a good conference.
Yay.